Okay, Bruce, I think anytime you want to get started.
Okay. So can everybody see the first slide?
Yep.
Yep. All
Yep.
right. Thank you.
It's just your program. Did you want to actually run a slideshow, Bruce, or you just have the program up?
I was gonna try and run the show myself. Let's see.
You should be able to, yeah, I mean, you still should be able to do a full screen, like slideshow. Not that it matters, but.
Oh, so you're seeing the whole show? Because I've got it.
Yes, I'm actually seeing PowerPoint, the actual PowerPoint program.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought I'd gone and taken care of that. But not now.
No, just seeing the PowerPoint program. We can see your slides, but they're not full screen.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'm because I do have it full screen here. I'm wondering what I
Sometimes there's two different screens on at least on mine. I had two different screens on in PowerPoint or in on Teams.
okay. Da, da, da. Let's just go that way then. Because it's not shifting over for me. Okay. You'll get to see what's ahead here by looking on the side. Wanted to cover a few things for snorkel safety. So as you heard in the biota talk, snorkeling is one of the AB methods. A lot more fun.
Your PowerPoint's not up at all now, Bruce.
Yeah, I can't see it.
It's not up at all?
Nope.
How'd that happen?
Be like me. I don't like to share, so I didn't share my screen.
Now?
Nope.
It was up for just a second and then it went away.
Well, this could be interesting.
I don't know, you had it up. So if you start your PowerPoint program, Bruce, and then go to share, it should actually give you the option to actually share your PowerPoint present or your the PowerPoint already running.
Okay, so I have it up on my screen and share content in Teams.
Uh-huh.
Start the PowerPoint first and then share.
Okay, it says I'm presenting.
Cool.
It'll work. It's the actual power, or you know, the it'll work.
So we're okay now.
Yep.
It's not full screen though, correct?
Right.
Okay. So what I wanted to do was give an abbreviated snorkel presentation. We only have a half day in this different format. So basically I'm cutting out most of the swift water materials. In a normal year, we'd be spending part of the day over on the Metolius in addition to Wychus Creek. Wychus is much more like the situations that most of you are going to find on your streams, and very few of you end up actually with swift water situations. If you find that to be the case, get in touch with me, and we can talk about ways for you guys to get up to speed and train. So why do we need, why does the Forest Service have a special certification for snorkeling? And so what you can see on the slide here, it was added in 2001. We've never been able to document it, but there are rumors that it came about because of an actual snorkeling death with the Forest Service in Montana. But there are numerous near-death and near misses that have happened around the U.S. And so the Forest Service decided to include snorkeling in their scientific diving program. So what's it take? First aid, valid first aid, CPR. During the pandemic, that's been waived in certain areas, but hopefully you can get it. And then document skills and knowledge. That's what we'll be doing in part on Friday. And I think the big key here is making sure your job hazard analysis or your risk assessment actually addresses your conditions on forest. I sent you folks a kind of a generic JHA that we use in the research station, but that's then followed up either with a more specific one or in our tailgate safety session. And I mean, here's some examples of why you would want to change your JHA depending on the type of the project you're doing. What are some examples of things you'd change if you were doing night snorkeling for bull trout? Can anybody hear that?
You might want to ask the question again.
So many forests do bull trout surveys at night. What are some additional issues with nighttime snorkeling that you could imagine?
Visibility.
Yeah. So you might want to make sure that you got flashlights and actually spare flashlights so that you can see. And then obviously visibility above water. How do you get around in the forest? A lot of times they'll go and check the snorkel route during the daytime and maybe even flag the end of the survey. And then you
But
can imagine. Yes.
Go ahead. No, I thought you were done. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say water in at night is colder than in the daytime, perhaps.
Correct. You if you have a especially like a glacial system, you're going to see the water level change over the course of the 24 hours. So here are some other examples of, and you can kind of run through them, how those might change in terms of number of people, emergency procedures, and things like that. So Thursday night, we'll have gather down by the pool. Those of you that haven't done this yet, we can document it for your forest. So 25-yard swim, and the other item is the treading water. So tread water for 2 minutes with your hands up in the air, or if that you don't want to do that, then just 5 minutes using your hands. And we'll do that Thursday evening after you get back from the field. So in the field, things that we're going to want you to do primarily is just to get comfortable with your gear. And so things like clearing your mask when it gets full of water. We'll talk about care of your gear, and both wetsuits and dry suits. And you'll be doing controlled upstream snorkeling, so you'll be working upstream. Then the unconscious victim and the swiftwater techniques we won't be doing this year because we're not over on the Metolius. And bonus, we hope, is that you're going to see some fish in there and get some experience in terms of how to sneak up on them and get a good view of them. And this isn't something that's you don't have to do the training annually. The reality is that all you need to do is keep your first aid CPR current, report your snorkeling activities to the forest dive safety officer, and then we want you to snorkel at least once every 12 months. So that would be your proficiency. Obviously, depending on the project or annually, you'll be reviewing and, if necessary, updating your JHA. So the primary rule and with snorkeling is that you don't snorkel alone. Something happens, you want to have a buddy there to help you out. That may be with only one snorkeler in the water and you have a bank observer who can keep the snorkeler in sight. The good thing there is that then the bank observer could also be collecting data. If you have both people in the snorkeling in the water, then you've got to deal with collecting your data and writing on a slate usually to take care of your counts. But it's that visual connection between the buddy pair that is key. If the stream's large enough, the normal procedure is actually just to split the stream in half, and each snorkeler counts one side of the stream. You could have people following each other and counting that way. The key is again that you have that line of sight. Situations like this are what you want to avoid. And an example that happens quite often where you would not have line of sight. And something to avoid is if you guys start leapfrogging your snorkel units, because at that point you're no longer in visual contact with the other person. You don't have an idea as to whether they're doing okay or if they need help. So these are some of the things that we'll be covering in the field. Stream survey brings up a whole new dimension in terms of slips, trips, and falls, which you hear about regularly working in the woods. Well, we've got all sorts of algae and paraphyton growing on the rocks, so the rocks are slippery, especially if you're working around restoration areas where wood has been put into the stream. Again, that can become very slippery, and you need to be careful. Probably the most likely accident type would be if you were you slipped and fell down. You might hit your head, and if you were unconscious, floating face down, then again, you're going to need your buddy to come pull you out of the water and get you on the bank, so that you can be breathing again. So all of the hazards that come with doing field work, they're there. You still got to get to the site. You got to pace yourself. Try to keep from getting lost. Every forest is going to have different emergency procedures. So again, key those to your forest or district procedures. That might mean that you need to be carrying a radio with you while you're in the water. So waterproof bags would then become necessary, or might be a case of where you have the bank observer and they're the ones that are maintaining communication. Cold water just takes it out of you. So you're going to find yourself getting tired, and pace yourself, and don't allow yourself to get exhausted. And then hypothermia, obviously, and you're floating in the water all day, and you've got to deal with your core body temperature. Terrestrial hazards, I'm just showing a couple from other regions. So if you see here's a snorkeler just checking a fish weir in Alaska. Funny thing, there's a guy in the background with a shotgun. In brown bear country up there, that's a standard procedure. In terms of this particular weir, as soon as those guys left, within about 15 minutes, the bears were checking out the weir too. So match your job hazard analysis to your site in the southeast. There are lots of times when they go to a site and yeah, if they see gators, they're just moving on to another site. They're not going to be snorkeling. In the here in the Northwest, one of the biggest complaints I hear about animal interactions will be bee stings, and watching out for yellow jackets. You'd hate to put your be snorkeling in a pool just below a aerial nest of yellow jackets or bald-faced hornets. Suck something into your snorkel. That almost happened to me. That's why it's a favorite of mine. So hypothermia. Again, you're in the water. That water is sucking the heat out of you. How do you protect yourself from it? And again, you become hypothermic when your body can no longer maintain its core temperature to regulate your body temperature. And it's not like it's only in cold weather. Again, If you're in the area, your body is in the area of 98 degrees, that could happen in cold water on a sunny day, or it could be on a cloudy, crappy, windy day too. So just because the sun's out doesn't mean you can't get hypothermia. So a mnemonic that you can use to kind of prepare yourself and your trip to, your project to try and prevent hypothermia. LOAD, and it stands for layers. So multiple layers, that allows you the ability to regulate your heat. You can add or subtract layers depending on the temperature, and then provide more insulation in areas where you're high heat loss. So that might be like your head, neck, armpits, groin. So those are the areas you might add extra insulation to. Again, polypropylene would be not cotton, excuse me. So cotton provides no insulation when it's wet, and in fact cools you down, especially if it's exposed to the wind or air. So wearing synthetics or wool would be the best thing to do in terms of layers. Pace yourself. So you're generating heat walking up the stream, but you don't want to start sweating. This could easily be an issue Friday on White's Creek with this weather that we're experiencing right now. So pace yourself, adjust your layers if necessary. Stay dry. Dry clothes insulate far better than wet clothes. If your dry suit isn't fitting and you're leaking, you're putting yourself at risk again because you're losing that insulation. Having spare clothes to change into would be good as a preparation for this. And again, manage your activity. If you're if you're getting cold, do something about it. And that might mean that you're just going to cancel the trip and come back later when you can do a better job of staying warm in the water. So again, maintain that core body temperature. So what are some of the signs of hypothermia that you could tell for yourself or looking at your buddy as you're working up the stream? So chime in with any thoughts.
There are chattering teeth here in our group.
Right now?
No, for recognizing, didn't you? You asked for
Bluish lips.
recognizing, forms of hypothermia, right?
Correct.
Looking confused.
So we got chattering teeth or shivering as one sign that you're getting too cold. What else?
Cranky.
Yeah. The grumbles or the umbles. So people get pretty grumpy. They're approaching hypothermia, and they start, mumbling, not having a hard time speaking clearly.
Blue to purplish discoloration of the lips and the hands.
Right. Yeah, if your lips are blue, probably shivering also, but it's a good sign, something that you can monitor in your buddy also.
Irregular or shallow like breathing.
That's getting pretty serious there, but yes, that would be the could be another symptom. That person's probably already into hypothermia. What about the treatment?
The
Oh,
fingers.
go ahead again.
Like tingling of the fingers or toes.
Okay, yes. Those extremities are the first ones that, you know, as you lose circulation and as your body is pulling the blood supply back to keep the core warm, you're going to find that your extremities are going to start getting pretty cold. And that'd be, you know, like with your fingers. If you're in a dry suit, but you're wearing neoprene, you know, wetsuit gloves, that's, you know, you're going to be exposed more to the water. What about the treatment? So if you recognize it in yourself or you see it in your buddy, what do you do?
Get out of the water.
That's a good start. Yes. It's the water that's making you cold. So get out of the water. What else?
Eat food.
Get out of all the wet clothing, get dry.
Sure. And that'd be great. Another plus if you have a bank observer, because they can be carrying extra clothing that you might be able to switch into.
Eat food.
Food. Actually, it'd be nice if there was a thermos with some, you know, warm liquid in it too. But yeah, food to start generating heat and energy.
If you're near your truck, go to the rig and crank the heat up, and then also probably notify dispatch.
Correct. If it's really serious, it you know, goes from just you know, kind of managing your temperature to becoming a first aid or potentially an emergency situation. So again, if it's serious, you're going to want to call dispatch and let them know what's happening. So this says swift water, and that actually can be in small streams. When is it too fast, or you know, how do you know if it's too fast or too deep to cross?
Anyway.
I didn't hear that.
The power of 10 rule. So if the velocity is times the depth is greater than 10, you shouldn't be in the water.
Correct. And you guys are going to be doing some discharge and things like that. So you're going to have a sense of how fast that water is. So with that power of 10 rule, you could have extremely fast but shallow water. That would make it dangerous or risky to cross the stream or be in there. So basically, you need to be maintaining control of yourself while you're in the stream. If you can't stand up and maintain control, if it's starting to push you downstream, things like that, that's when you need to consider, should I really be here? Maybe go to the bank or walk on the sides. Might be a a fast water unit that you don't snorkel. So again, if you're crossing swift streams by yourself, the idea of a tripod, so you're wading, having a staff so that you have your 2 feet and the staff to lean on, and you only move one of those at a time to slowly work your way apart across the stream. If there are 2 of you, join arms and work as a pair, and in a larger group, you can again join together and as a group reduce your exposure to the current. So maybe a like a triangle with 1 point upstream, or a rod. So you have a group of people and they're holding together and along the length of the stream. So the person at the upstream end is the one who is exposed to most of the flow, and the other ones are somewhat protected because the front person is breaking that flow. What do if you're in a stream and all of a sudden you do lose that control, what do the thing to be looking at is how do you recover from that? And we have what's called the lazy boy position. So say you've been swept off your feet and you're going downstream. What you want to be doing is to roll onto your back and with your feet in front of you. If you're as long as you can see downstream. If you can't, you're going to have to go face first to get a view. And then as you see hazards, you would assume that lazy boy position to use your feet to push you off of any hazards. So an example would be like this, where you're using your feet to get you off of a rock or a maybe some wood in the stream. If it's a larger stream, you also, the way you move back and forth across the stream is doing that is ferrying. So if you see in this picture that red arrow, you're facing, you're putting yourself at a 45-degree angle, and that way the current will help to push you to the side of the stream, or if you're trying to avoid a particular hazard, into a chute or a safe passage down the stream. And again, we won't be practicing any of this in White's Creek. So these are skills that you might want to practice if you find that some of your projects are putting you into these sorts of situations. So drowning, of course, we want to prevent that. What are some of the things that can lead to drowning? So obviously hypothermia, you're not thinking straight. You're, you might make some bad decisions. As I mentioned before, a head injury, whether that's because you lost control and you're going downstream and happen to hit your head, or maybe it's you slip while you're in the stream. And if you get a head injury and you're unconscious, face down, you obviously aren't going to be able to breathe. Foot entrapment. So this is a situation where your foot gets stuck, maybe under a hunk of wood or a rock, and then the water is fast enough that you're not able to get your foot free. So you're stuck there unless your buddy can help you get your foot loose and you can get back into control. And then, of course, in streams with a lot of wood and undercut banks, you may just be forced underwater. Could be a strainer. So whenever you're around wood in fast water, you want to be approaching it from the downstream side. You don't want to be on the upstream side of woody debris, because you're running the risk of being pushed into and trapped by that woody debris. So what's the take-home message? Again, always have a buddy. That tailgate safety session allows you to tailor your actions to the specific stream or project, so that you can highlight particular hazards or things to do. Divers, you have that responsibility for understanding the hazards and get the training that you need to mitigate those hazards. And then, of course, as the regional dive safety officer, I'm always looking for the data from the forests. But the other thing that we'll be talking about is decontaminating your gear. Katie, has asked you guys to make sure your gear is clean when you come to the to NR9, and the same thing when you leave and go back to your home forest. You want to decontaminate your gear. So I think I'm going to leave it there, and we'll see each other on Friday morning out on Whitefish Creek. Any questions?
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Bruce. I don't see anybody asking any questions, but those who will be lucky enough to stick their heads in the water on Friday, I'm sure will get any questions answered there.
Sure enough. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank
All
you.
right. We are almost done. So I'm just going to do just a couple of house cleaning things so we know. So tomorrow, so those you are leaving for Sisters today. We don't have anything else going on today, so you guys are free to get to Sisters when you want to, check in the hotel, whatever. We will be out, the cadre will be out at the site today when we get there, but please meet at the Best Western at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. We're going to leave from there. We can take the back way out to our site. The site is only about 10 minutes away from the hotel. We're going to do a sign in at the parking lot and do a couple of housekeeping items, and just to kind of get us going on Wednesday. We will be having a social on Wednesday night. If you got a Frisbee, bring it. I don't have a bunch of Frisbees, but we might play a little Frisbee golf potentially. So if you have a Frisbee, go ahead and bring that with. Be ready to survey tomorrow. So make sure you have all your gear, your boots, your waders, anything you want to bring with you, lunch, all that stuff. We're going to be in the stream and hanging out all day at the site tomorrow doing demos and that type of thing. Make sure your gear is all clean. We will have some cleaning items if you need them. But if you're in a stream today hanging out, definitely need to have them clean by tomorrow when you get there. I think that's it. Like I said, there's a tax exempt form attached to the chat here. Make sure you print that out. I do, and if you do need one and you catch me tomorrow morning, I do have some already printed out too. So other than that, I think that's all I have. Those who aren't going to make the trip to Sisters, let me know. I'll send you an evaluation. I didn't get a chance to get it done on the SharePoint and attach it here, but please let me know, and so I can get you that evaluation, because I would like you guys to let us know how we did in the last couple days. Those who are going to the field can fill out an evaluation in Sisters. Other than that, I think we're good to go. And any questions from anybody about the next couple days? All right. Thank you guys for attending, and we will see a chunk of you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.